All right. Well, welcome to Rebirth of a Brand. Today we have Dennise Casey and Jenn Cullen. You can see our names on your screen. So I just want to thank you both for being here today. This is a super exciting day for us, and you both have been integral part of that process of getting us to this point. I actually met Dennise Casey while I was working for the Hospital Association here in Vermont a few years ago. Dennise owns her own company. She does strategic communications for a variety of organizations. Jenn Cullen is a designer and owner of her own business as well. And she has been integral in birthing truly this beautiful logo and brand design. So I'll give you both an opportunity to just introduce yourselves. Just a note for participants, if you have questions, feel free to put those in the question box at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to not talk too much that we don't have time for questions. So do you want to start, Dennise?
Sure. Well, as Judy said, my name is Dennise Casey. I have my own public affairs firm. It's based in South Burlington, Vermont. I have partnership with Bernstein Sure, so I do work across northern New England, and we serve clients nationally and even internationally. The bulk of my work is in strategic communications and research. I believe very strongly, and I know we'll get into this, that well-researched and well-informed efforts tend to be more successful. So I do lots of research work in addition to communications work. My story. I'm so excited to be here. This is a great day.
Yeah, I love your t-shirt.
Oh yeah, I'm sporting this flag.
I'm Jenn Cullen. I'm primarily a graphic designer and illustrator, and kind of have always been in the creative field in some way or another. I went to school in New York City, worked in entertainment for most of the time there. And then when my husband and I moved to Vermont, I worked primarily in graphic design, in print design, and a few years ago decided to strike out on my own. I had been a staff designer at a lot of places, and it's been a lot of fun ever since. I just come from a creative background, and that's what I've always done. So I was happy to work on this project.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that might be interesting to this group is a little bit about our process in sort of finding you all. When we put out an RFP to sort of begin the work of rebranding, which to Dennise's point, one of the things that was really important to us was, investing in the research to really make an informed decision about what direction we would go. We put an RFP out and we got, I think, 11 or 12 responses from like a variety of folks. A lot of really big marketing firms from, all of the places where we do business, Maryland, New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine. And then you all answered the RFP as well, and it was a little bit different because it was 3 independent business owners coming together to address the needs of the RFP. And I wonder if you can just talk a little bit, maybe Dennise, talk a little bit about the different approach that you brought to this project than, let's say, a big firm.
Yeah, happy to. Big firms can be a great fit, especially if you're a very big organization that has regular needs and things fit nice and neatly into timelines, and you have a robust budget that is designed to afford all of the people and things that come with an agency. So an agency can be a great fit. I find that they're not a great fit for organizations that want to go through a more organic process. And that's exactly what you all engaged in. It was sort of from the grassroots up versus an agency, working primarily with leaders. And I do think that that's what sets our approach apart. So the three of us, and our colleague Nancy is with her kids today and couldn't be here. But the three of us are very accustomed to building and operating in these sort of very flexible, nimble teams. And that means that we're better positioned and potentially more willing to learn from you all what you need, and then we'll provide the structure around it to move your process along. So I have been involved in a number of rebrands and major projects and research projects where we'll build a team of individuals that bring a certain set of skills to the table to tackle it. And I have found almost without exception that this is a recipe that can work really well. And so I have to say that it can be a leap for leadership teams. There's a certain comfort in hiring an agency that has all kinds of people with all kinds of titles that suggest that you're getting this sort of army of people to support you. But the leadership team recognized, and I think rightfully so, that a better fit would be to sort of build a team around the leadership team to kind of meet your unique needs to bring this project forward, and to be flexible along the way to address sort of bumps in the road. And there were plenty of those, as there always are. So
yeah, I think that's, it leads me into sort of my next question. I remember multiple times like traveling with Jenn and Nancy, who's not here. Thanks for bringing Nancy up, a really important part of our team. But, traveling and listening to employees. I mean, Jenn, maybe you can talk a little bit about, what you learned about the agency and, that was most interesting to you sort of in your like talking with employees and travels and just about our industry in general. I mean, I know that you did a lot of that work when you were researching the new brand for us that you found to be, that's really stuck with you in the work that you've been doing around the creative.
Yeah, I guess I would say, what impacted me the most as far as like all my conversations with people was just how personal it is to everyone, this work that is being done. It's not just a job, it's really, I think people really take the work they do to heart, and that really impacted me, because like if you design for a widget company or something, it's not, you try to do your best, but there's no like real human like attachment to the widget necessarily. It's not as like the work here is so important, and we really wanted to convey like, this human spirit that is within Aspire, formerly IPBI. And so that really was what struck me, just how much people really take so much pride in the work that they do working with these individuals. So I mean, I could expand on other things that we learned, but
I do think that, in the research that we did, working with our research firm and just the anecdotal sort of experience of traveling throughout the agency, this idea of our person-centered approach. I mean, we just talked about it in our last session around the research. Our person-centered approach, we put the people that we serve at the center of everything that we do. And that's the goal. And that really is, it comes so clear in this new logo. And
and the flexibility too is really important, and like, we had flexibility as a group working together, but it's like, I feel like the agency is really about flexibility because it doesn't, there's not a one size fits all solution to the individuals you work with. And like, I think that we really wanted to illustrate in design too and we can talk about how that manifested later or.
Let's talk about it now. I think that's.
You want to get into design conversation?
We got into a conversation this morning. Someone asked like, what is the purple and, what's it all about? Like, tell us. So let's talk a little bit about the creative process. I mean, I think, we started with the research, but you also did some interesting research that I think would be cool to tell people about.
Yeah, sure. I mean, before we, can really embark on the design process, the only thing that a designer can do is see what else is out there as far as the competitive landscape, because we don't have any internal research coming back yet. So that's the first thing I always do, is just see what else is out there, what other people are doing. And then some practical things emerge from that before we, know the name or whatever direction we're going in. So we found that, most agencies use the color blue. So we knew right out of the gate that we just didn't want to do a blue logo, because we wanted to be able to stand out. Almost no one uses purple, so we knew we wanted to incorporate some purple. Even before we had any other decisions made, we were thinking along, it might not have manifested that way in the end, but it did. We had that in the back of our minds, all of us. And, just certain themes that arise a lot within behavioral services, like pathways and amorphous human forms and things like that. We knew we wanted to stay away from those. And like those are all very helpful. It's helpful as a designer to whittle away the things that you don't want to do. And then you can really kind of focus on like what's left, and that's when the research comes in, and then you can really start thinking more in earnest about how that might take shape.
Yeah, I'll never forget the slide that you shared with us around like the colors, and blue like stood out, and then these people with hands, and like community was it was so literal. A lot of the logos that we looked at in terms of our industry. So yeah, it's something that really stood out to me in terms of your creative process, starting with what don't we want, or what isn't sort of the direction that we want to go.
Sure.
Just talking a little bit about data-driven decision making, like let's just dive into that a little bit more. What impact did that have on name selection? I mean, the name selection process for us was like all over in 2020, to rename yourself is a real feat. And so, it wasn't just the research that we did with employees and stakeholders, but it was trademark research. It was, industry research. Talk to me about that process. I don't know, was it typical, what you saw here, was that typical of other agencies? What could we have done differently to have made it more of a smooth process? I don't know, just talk to me about the process and how you experienced it.
All right, I'll jump in on the research, and then Jen, I'll kick it to you on the process. Although I will say I have done a lot of these, and there are always bumps in the road and unexpected twists and turns. And again, being open to the path that those kinds of experiences take you on, versus viewing them as, oh, this isn't going well, or we've missed this deadline. It's really important that if you can, you sort of allow that to happen naturally. It takes you where you need to go. And there are plenty of practical considerations too. You don't want deadlines to slip, for a really long time. I mean, that's just poor management. We didn't do that. But we did allow for the process to kind of happen as it needed to. I am somebody that believes, as I said at the outset, that research is essential. It's essential for a couple of reasons. The obvious one, it teaches you all kinds of things that you maybe didn't know or weren't exactly sure of. But it's important because it gives a voice to stakeholders, and that is so important. There is no scenario where we would have arrived where we landed absent real engagement with all of you on this webinar, many in the communities, the individuals that you all serve. It has to be informed by the people, all of you who are going to be ambassadors for it, or it will not succeed. So, Judy, I may be stealing one of your later questions, but, this sort of now what? the sort of now what is, we need all of us sort of collectively to be ambassadors and champions for this new name, so we can build recognition for it and enthusiasm around it. And so the research is the first step in that process. So unless we've listened, and unless this is informed by all of the people who matter, not Jen and I in this scenario, then it would be impractical for us to think that you all would believe in this or want to champion it. So, you know, as I have been reflecting on this rollout and going back and looking at the research, it's really overwhelming how deeply connected this name and this shape and this color palette is connected to what we learned in all of the research work that we did engaging you, and all the research work that we did, as Jen just sort of outlined, around the industry. So research is so important. I do projects, I'll just tell you one other thing. I do projects a lot where the client will say, boy, I hope I have an aha moment, or I hope I learned something that I just had no idea about. And I'll often say, no, that's not how you should. Research should not teach you that you were completely off the mark. Hopefully, instead, research gives you the confidence and the energy to charge ahead with what you pretty much knew, even if just deep down was the right direction to go in. And so I would say this project did not disappoint in that regard.
Yeah, really good point. And if you weren't in the earlier session, I mean, we've shared the research, but we'll continue to do so. That's what our research told us, that there was an appetite for change, that people supported the direction of the organization, and that, you know, name change was highly supported, and the themes of transformation, growth, discovery were very, very near and dear to the work that we do. So yeah, to your point. Jen, I really, you know, so we have a question. I know that people are just like dying to know more about the butterfly, about, you know, the color palette, sort of the, you know, the actual concepts of the brand. So maybe you can talk, I mean, we are like running out of time. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, sure.
But what factors did you consider in like the work that you were doing? You know, you talked a little bit about the industry, but yeah, like talk to us about the elements.
Yeah, sure. So once the research starts coming in from internal, you know, the faculty, or not faculty, the employees and the stakeholders, we were able to kind of really visit on like those themes, and transformation kept coming up over and over again. So from the onset, we were thinking, oh, maybe butterfly would be a good representation of this agency, right? So we explored different ways to incorporate a butterfly, and originally we were thinking like maybe this could be part of the name, like something to do with a butterfly. That's been done. But surprisingly, it's really not common as far as symbolism within this competitive landscape. So, you know, right away, you know, I was thinking one of the designs I'm going to present is going to be a butterfly. You know, once we had settled on the name, that is, because if we had gone with a name like Blue Well, it would have been totally inappropriate to use a butterfly. But Aspire opened us up to just about any kind of symbolism you could imagine, which is really nice from a design perspective. So I wanted to do a butterfly, I knew that, and then I thought, well, like, how do I make this something that Aspire can really own? You know, I don't want just some generic butterfly. I want it to be like forever linked to the name Aspire. So I thought a good way to do that was to make it a monogram and incorporate the A into the butterfly. So that's, I mean, I don't know if everyone noticed that, but the butterfly is actually the letter A.
That is actually what the commenter said.
Yeah.
George from Connecticut. She's like, I see the A, it's genius.
Well, it's great. So I'm glad people are seeing it. I mean, that's the intention. And I also really, you know, we had thought about like connectivity and interconnectedness. And like, I've been thinking a lot about the idea of an endless knot, or Celtic knots and things in my research and like my visual research. And so I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we could make a logo that is one continuous line, you know? And so we were able to achieve that with the butterfly. And I think that actually helps with, you know, balance from a visual perspective. And, you know, it just all came together, and it just seemed right. So
I just saw a short video of a sign, one of our new signs being routed. And it truly is like a single line, like a digital, you know, rotor line. It's pretty incredible. So, okay, this is crazy. We're done. Like that's 12 minutes. But you know, I do want to, you know, you mentioned what now, and that like is like a really, I think, great place to sort of end our conversation. I mean, today is like the beginning of the beginning. You know, we've been here for 40 years, and now we're really pivoting outward with this new brand. You know, what are the pitfalls of launching a new brand without a plan? And you know, what do we collectively, you know, these folks that are on the call, and you know, leadership within the organization and stakeholders in general, like what are some takeaways? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, so it is the beginning of the
Good question.
beginning. And so IPPI has enjoyed really incredible name recognition, even despite its very formal long name, and people really care about it. And so we've got to make sure that the tie in the transformation from IPPI to Aspire is sort of infused in everything that you all do. And it's not something that a marketing team, even an agency, or a communications leader can do alone. It has to happen at every single touch point in the organization as much as possible in all you do. And the more enthusiasm for it, the more it will stick, and stick quickly. And there is a sense of urgency around that as names are starting to change on your social media channels and things are starting to look different. It's so important that everybody get involved in that.
Awesome. Yeah, great advice. And you know, I will say to this crowd that's on the call today, we'll make sure that there are ways for you to get involved in telling that story. You know, I think one of the things that we've, you know, Jenn has created an incredible assets library for us, and, you know, having access to those assets so that you can utilize them and, you know, ensure that, you know, that our brand integrity is kept, but that we're really telling the story in a consistent and relevant way. So, yes to all of that, and we'll do our best to support that effort internally and externally. Jenn, do you want the last word on sort of what's next? You know, what sort of your recommendations are in terms of launching a new brand and how we can be successful in doing that?
I just think that just be excited about it, right? I mean, like now you're given this brand that is full of color and movement, and let it inspire you, and like embrace it, and, you know, add some color to the agency. I mean, it's the name is Aspire, right? You can make it whatever you want it to be. So like the sky's the limit, I think, you know?
Yeah, I think really good advice. You know, one of the things that I've been most excited about over the last, you know, several months in working with the new brand, writing with the new sort of language and the, you know, sort of the approach that we're taking, has really infused my work with, like you said, with color and excitement in ways that I didn't get to experience before. So I'm super excited to share it with the world. And I just want to say thank you so much to both of you and to everyone on the call for participating. I think there's, I don't think we have any more questions. But yeah, just want to say thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. And it's been great working with you. I'm sure our paths will continue to cross forever. So
it's been amazing. Our butterfly paths.
Yeah, right. It'll be varied and moving. It'll be great.
Congratulations, Judy.
Yes.
Congratulations. Well
Thank
done.
you so much. Yeah.
I'm excited to see how the brand takes shape over the years. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. All right, thank you so much, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, thanks everyone.
Bye, Aspire.